Damn you, you vile cynics, you unbelievers.
Oh, mate, don't say that, because that irritates me, and I punch blokes for saying that.
To those scurrilous cynics and naysayers, those far leftist Islamo-fascist Hamas-supporting Aussie haters, you who have the indecency to claim that Albo's expulsion of the Iranian ambassador is a scam, we say, prove it. Prove that Iran was not behind the attack on the Bondi Deli. Prove that Iran was not behind the burning of the Melbourne synagogue door. Prove it. How much more proof do you want? Look at this. The Sydney Morning Herald front page splash this week. Iran targets Bondi Deli. Do you need any further proof than that? And Rupert Murdoch's The Israelian had this to say, splashing on its front page. Iran attacks us. Iran attacks us. We Aussies. So here's the timeline. On Sunday, 300,000 Australians at least march in protest across the country from Perth to Brisbane, demanding that the government sanction Israel. On Monday, Israel continued its daily murder spree, this time with a double-tap IDF murder at the hospital of journalists, aid workers and patients. On Tuesday, Albo responds by expelling the Iranian ambassador.
Since the terrible events of October 7, 2023, we have witnessed a number of appalling anti-Semitic attacks against Australia's Jewish community. ASIO has now gathered enough credible intelligence to reach a deeply disturbing conclusion that the Iranian government directed at least 2 of these attacks. A short time ago, we informed the Iranian ambassador to Australia that he would be expelled. We have suspended operations at our embassy in Tehran, and all our diplomats are now safe in a third country. I can also announce the government will legislate to list Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, as a terrorist organisation.
Makes sense, doesn't it? Especially when you consider the strategic imperatives for Iran in attacking a deli in Bondi, in Sydney's Bondi. I mean, it has a bit more on its plate, to be sure, rounding up all the Mossad spies, repelling the illegal invasion by America and Israel, which it's been doing, rebuilding Tehran, bombing Tel Aviv. It's got a few things on its plate, but one of the Ayatollah's main security concerns is the deliberate targeting of Aussie Jews. Not just any other Jews, but specifically Aussie Jews in Bondi and in Melbourne, in order to create anti-Semitism in Australia. This is one of their strategic imperatives in Tehran. To you despicable cynics then, who question, why would Iran do it? What is the intent behind these despicable acts? Especially as Iran's Jewish population worship peacefully every day of the week in one of the country's 100 synagogues, where freedom of religion is practiced. Why would they attack a deli in Bondi? Did they get Hamas mixed up with hummus? Allow me to remind you of the reality that ASIO said it has done a thorough investigation. We know this because at the presser on Tuesday, there was Albo, flanked with the ASIO guy. ASIO also said that the attacks were, quote, linked to the IRGC. It also said that it is likely that the IRGC directed other attacks. Are they speaking here about the Dural caravan bomb plot? The anti-Semitic eggings of the Bondi teenage girls, which led to changing the laws of this nation, anti-vilification laws? Were they behind the Bondi anti-Semitic banknote scandal, where this ATM suddenly started spewing out $50 notes, replete with swastikas on them? At least that's what the AJA tells us, because their spies were there magically in possession of these anti-Semitic banknotes. Okay, so back to ASIO. Its statements were all made without the production of any evidence. It also said later in the week that its case had been developed in liaison with foreign powers. It did not identify the foreign power, but then Sharry Markson on Sky News came out and confirmed that Mossad was behind it.
But first tonight, I can exclusively reveal that Israeli intelligence agencies assisted ASIO in its investigation into Iran's terror attacks on Australia.
Mossad intelligence had led to this thorough investigation. Quick house ad. If you like what we're doing here, please consider making a monthly donation to Patreon. We're entirely funded, apart from a few small YouTube ads, by the community, by readers. And that's the way that we want to keep it. It's not so that you can read it or you can watch it, but it's so everyone can watch it and everyone can read it. Please consider tipping us a few dollars on Patreon. You'll find the link in the description. And thanks for those who already support us. ASIO said also that the Iranian ambassador had been expelled despite admitting that the diplomats from Iran were not involved. Its views were then confirmed by the PM, Albo, who said that ASIO had credible intelligence. He didn't use the word proof. Credible intelligence. It's NatSec, so we can't say too much. Sensitive information. Finally, later in the week, after the presser, the PM endorsed the feelings of ASIO's chief. To quote Albo, that is the advice that ASIO has given us. And given the quality and the detail of the advice that we received, the Director General, Mike Burgess, comments are, I believe, accurate. There we go. Now, some of you will be old enough to remember Saddam Hussein's human shredder. Yes, the big machine which just shreds people all up, shreds people alive. The machine, besides WMD, this was part of the pretext for the invasion of Iraq in 2003. And we know this because the then Prime Minister John Winston Howard said it in Parliament. He told Parliament, hand on heart, the Times of London detailed the use of a human shredding machine as a vehicle for putting to death critics of Saddam Hussein. This is the man. This is the apparatus of terror we are dealing with. And so we merrily joined Operation Enduring Freedom with the US. We killed 1 million people, created ISIS, and probably caused the Bali bombings the following year, just because of Saddam's human shredder and the WMD, which were never proven to have existed. But that doesn't mean that they didn't exist, or the human shredder. Prove it. Just prove that shredder does not exist. There was a little war before that too, the first Gulf War in the 1990s. Now that kicked off after claims by the media of Iraqi soldiers killing Kuwaiti babies in incubators. It turned out that the PR firm Hill & Knowlton had cooked up that one, but who's to say it was not true? We have no proof it wasn't true. Babies always get a good Guernsey, don't they? Whenever there's a war, whenever they're creating consensus for a war. Was there a baby in the Bondi Deli, maybe? Because it looks like we're cooking up a little pretext to go to war with America against Iran. The 40 babies beheaded, of course, they were invoked in kicking off the Israeli genocide in Palestine. The 40 beheaded babies, the media all reported that and have refused to recant the October 7 narrative for almost 2 years now. And don't forget the baby on the clothesline. Don't forget the baby in the microwave oven, those good old babies. They're there at the beginning of every war, because that's what enemies do, they kill babies. Now, there were other scams this week. The Defence Minister, Richard Marles, had his White House meeting and showed some happy snaps of Pete Hegseth, the US Defence Secretary, and VP JD Vance on Instagram having their meeting. But then the boys came out and said no. There was no meeting with Richard Marles. That's how much they care. That's how much $368 billion of our AUKUS money doesn't buy a meeting with the VP and the Defence Secretary. So that was a slightly embarrassing incident for Richard Marles. And there were other ones. The little beauty from Teddy O'Brien, the opposition treasurer, as detailed in the AFR. Libs sell exclusive access to Ted O'Brien. Usually they're more furtive about it than just selling exclusive access. It's like a lunch or something like that. They're usually more secretive. But no, in Ted O'Brien's democracy, you fork out $20,000 for a meeting, no strings attached. Just pay $20,000 to Ted because you can, because you've got shareholders who will share their money. Ship in those donations. But it's becoming a thing. Israel again dominated our politics, and of course we've got the anti-Semitism summit coming up on the Gold Coast for mayors and assorted councillors from around the country so they can be taught how criticism of Israel is anti-Semitic. So come on down, Albo. You get Scam of the Week for Iran Gate. Scam of the Week. Albo. Congratulations, mate. You've got another one. Sonny Jim, Scam of the Week. Please like, share and comment in the section below and drop us a few dollars on Patreon if you can afford it.